Oh, yeah. We're going to try this now. This is going to be fun. Let's invite some people. Let's invite Manny. All right. And if I had the ability to swipe like a boss, I would. But this ain't giving me no reason. All right. Nope. What if I got one of those fancy slide ones? Sad. All the cool kids are here. All right. How about this? All right. Well, this was going to be super cool. Can everyone hear me now? Let's go thumbs up if you can hear this guy. Nope. Damn it. Oh, you can't hear me. Great. Well, there's an angry emoji. That's probably Manny. Oh. Well, Wally can hear me. That's delightful. And Richard, you can hear me, which is also delightful. And it's a lovely time to be here with you today. Hooray! Well, I'm Patrick, by the way. Manny, thanks for letting me hijack your entire post for a while. And we'll just go off that. And then you guys can type in some questions, and this will be kind of the format we can go with. Or, Manny, you can tell me to go fly a kite, and we can just exit out of this thing, and we can try again later on another different thing. I will let you decide, because you're the boss. You know, I used to be referred to as the Verizon Wireless guy because, which is funny because of your, that's thing. Okay, so a little bit about me. Nice to meet everybody here. So my name is Patrick Kirby. I am the founder of Do Good Better Consulting. We're a firm out of North Dakota that helps nonprofits raise more money and be more awesome and make fundraising simpler and kind of make sure that everybody kind of knows what to do about nonprofits and what to do about all things fundraising. And that is me. So I started about a little over a year ago. I used to work for a pretty large organization as their chief development officer. And prior to that, I was the senior director of development at the Ann Carlson, or at the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. So I used a lot of walks, and I did galas. We had the third largest gala in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Raised a little over $1 million net in one evening on a regular basis, and it was a pretty fantastic event. So over the course of the years, I got really interested in helping individuals who were either a nonprofit leader or they were working in nonprofits, trying to figure out a way to do things a little more simply. So basically, everybody on Earth has nobody really goes to school to be a fundraiser. Nobody. They're just accidental fundraisers. So mostly it's people who love a particular program and they love a particular thing to do. And let's just say you love feeding the hungry, and it's just your calling, and it's the best thing that you can do ever. You grow so big, you have to actually raise money, but you're a program person. You don't know really how to raise money, and so you go to a conference or you read a book, and they tell you everything you need to know at like a 30,000-foot level, but nothing equates to you. And so you just are frustrated and you're flustered, and nobody knows what to do at all. And so they just give up, or they don't do it well. And so I found a very, very narrow niche on trying to help small and medium-sized nonprofits get over this big hump about how to raise money. It's a lot of sales techniques. It's a lot of gut instinct. It's intuition. It's crafting a message. It's crafting a story, which is why I kind of find a kinship here with everybody here around, which is trying to craft a story and using a model that actually makes sense when it comes to explaining to individuals who you're trying to solicit money from a compelling story and a reason to give money. Nobody's obligated to give you anything as a nonprofit. And so your story time and your story crafting ability is critical when it comes to the nonprofit world. And so I spend a lot of time developing case statements, case of supports, kind of working with their marketing material and all those other things as well. So it is very interesting about how this came about from a talking standpoint, is that Manny wanted to talk a little bit about kind of what we do as members and how it relates to speaking. And so what I've been finding in the last couple of months is I'm emceeing a lot of events. So I'm just taking the audience on a ride down the agenda without too many sort of bells and whistles. And what I'm finding is the audience members and people in the audience at these giant fundraisers are also the big power players in businesses and banking and investing. And so when we're kind of talking about how to present a story, and you're also wanting to get in front of people who may be, I don't know, helpful when you're trying to become a coach or get a sponsorship or something like this, nonprofit fundraising events is a wonderful way that you as a speaker can get in front of as many people as possible. And so the approach is simple. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You become a delightful member of the community by reaching out and actually doing events and emceeing events that actually help causes that you enjoy in the first place, which is remarkable. And I really think that this is an opportunity for anybody, regardless of what industry they're in or whatever coaching they do, to become somebody in the community that's known for their speaking techniques, their storytelling, their jokes, the way they command an audience as well. And it's really simple. So here's a couple of tips that I've been stumbling into that I wanted to pass along to you. Is go down the list in your community of a number of events that happen. The big black tie galas, the smaller wine events, etc. Find something that you're really passionate about. And Richard Kaufman helped people struggling with depression and health fitness. So yes, so find a mental health organization in town. Find somebody who is dealing with sort of counseling, maybe, perhaps, who are doing fundraising galas at the same time. Reach out to them and say, hey, I would love to offer my services as a speaker or your MC for the night to just kind of gauge their interest in you. You don't make a ton of money. You might get a stipend of $500 or $1,000 or something like that, but you get to help them pace the show. You then also get to meet everybody within the organization. You become a rock star hero at the end of the night because they're going to raise a ton of money. You've kind of kept people on track. You've told some sort of relatable story, or you are connecting with the audience in a way that somebody who does programming only can't or won't. A lot of program people who maybe help with addiction and counseling aren't built for the stage, if that makes sense, because they probably haven't called Manny and gotten a little course correction on their speaking ability. But they're looking for someone to command the stage. They're looking for somebody to say, hey, listen, this is really important. They want to frame out the night that's very serious, or maybe they want to have a bit of levity. And so I think it's really an amazing thing to have somebody who's a professional speaker who can command the stage to be an MC. Now, once you're off the stage, and let's just say the silent auction is ending and the dinner is ending, you're probably going to be positioned with, some banking executives, some other people who are movers and shakers within your community, and you're now known as the person who helps all of these people do amazing work. So most people don't think there's a lot of money in the nonprofit industry. I beg to differ. They just don't like to spend it on certain things. So, Richard and Manny and Dawn and Wally, you all have a specific niche and a love of an organization or something, whether it's animals or kids or animals that play with kids, maybe whatever you want to do. You all have some sort of thing you are drawn to to do good in this world. And if you can find an organization that matches up with it, you don't necessarily need to give them 6-figure checks or 5-figure checks. Time becomes the most valuable thing that you can actually give nowadays. And if your time spent on stage inspiring people to give money is your talent and your treasure that you can give to them, what a wonderful gift that you're giving a whole bunch of people to raise a boatload of money. Yes, Manny, there is a bunch of money in the nonprofit industry. I wouldn't still have a business if it wasn't the case. But they use it for training. Well, what better training can you have? Hi, Gail. What better training can you have if you help them speak about their mission or help craft a mood in the room? Or how much could you bring value to your story and how it connects with? I mean, Gail, for example, I think I've listened to a couple of your pieces. But Gail, just kind of maybe throw out something that you really, really love to do or really love to support. Richard, Joint Task Force, which is really interesting, and Mark, teaming up to do that and telling your story and what that means to you personally is going to make a connection in the room. The same way that that Manny's teaching people to make a connection so that you can grow your own business is the same way that speakers make a connection to the audience and to grow the ability to fundraise in the room. It's the same principles. It's the same story arc. It's the same question mark stories. It's the same thing that Manny teaches us in this 1,000 Speakers Academy and one-on-ones. But you're just using it for a different avenue, which is really amazing. So use your talent for great. Use your talent for good, and that's what it is. So the other thing that you can do is not only MC events, but also go to conferences and talk about that as well. So Gail, foster kids, for example, something that there's foster conferences in every single state, statewide foster conferences. There's regional ones. I know that. And so volunteering your time to give a breakout session at a conference that is specifically geared for foster kids and talking about the frustrations of state organizations or the lack of funding thereof, or the amount of people or the lack of people who are actually giving great homes to kids is a wonderful setting, not only to hone your craft, Gail, but to make a massive impact. And then you get to be associated with spreading the good word on what you can bring to either a foster family or a foster home or a foster organization to either better their mission or to clarify something that they haven't been clarified before. So that's a really interesting one too. Also, if you have sort of a motivational business or you're selling a book, you can donate some of your time to either an auction or a silent auction to kind of gear up your own brand. And you can probably exchange some of your larger services for tickets to the event. You don't necessarily want to bilk the organization out of like a sponsorship. You don't want to do that. But if you trade sort of a major gift, let's just say it's a couple of hours worth of consulting work or a couple of hours worth of one-on-one coaching, and that's value that you can add to the actual silent auction, you might find some people who would bid on that, exchange it for some tickets, and then go and support that organization the entire night. And again, all you're doing is matching up your love of whatever organization that is or whatever thing that you're supporting, and then you're mingling with all of the bigwigs who also support that. And everybody's trying to look for leads. Like, how do I get leads, and how do I have conversations with people? One of the best CEQ teachers, and by best I mean the only one, is Rob Garcia, and he pops in here every once in a while. Somebody should tag him in this because I'm going to give him some kudos. He gives everybody else kudos. I'm going to take his cue and give him kudos. Damn it! Really, what he does is says you've got to position yourself as somebody who is a celebrity. And what better way to get in front of people who are local celebrities than getting in front of them at local fundraisers? And you can match your brand and your enthusiasm and your passion for things with other people who have the similar passion at nonprofit organization and fundraisers. And then you just have this common ground that you talk with. You see Richard and you see Rob at veteran events all the time, and they kind of post about how I was at this veterans thing and hey, I was here. These are the same kind of individuals that are completely engaged with the same things that you're wonderful, right? So, Richard, book is coming out the next week. 35% of proceeds go to raise awareness on first responders that commit suicide. So, Richard, this would be a really interesting thing when you look at mental wellness organizations within your region, reaching out to them and saying, hey, this would be a really interesting thing that I could do to help an organization raise more money, is by telling my story, sharing my story, and helping motivate people in the room to donate more money. Dean McMurray, who is one of the coolest people. If you ever want to watch somebody's lives, follow Dean immediately, because he'll hop on randomly and then just do random readings out into the world. And it's one of the coolest things ever. He's a military medium. By the way, just had coffee with your wife, and she is amazing, and I miss working with her. Side note. But anyway, so Dean's got a really interesting thing, because he can bounce in between not only being in the paranormal sort of conventions that he can do some speaking events. He can also do some veteran events at the same time. So he has a very broad swath of folks that he can make maximum impact on. And so when he's looking for military families, let's just say military vets who are worried about this, he can come in and maybe give a presentation at a conference, or he can give a presentation at a fundraiser. And each one of those things gives you the opportunity to tell your story and share and kind of hone your craft in front of people who are very receptive. So you're never going to find a hostile audience at a fundraiser. Like, nobody is going to stand up and go, "You're a fraud, damn it." Like, everybody's there to raise as much money and awareness as they can for whatever organization they're trying to raise money for. And I think that's a wonderful thing that you can give, not only to your own sort of folks that you hang out with and folks that you believe in, but it also gives you some amazing street cred. And then a little pat on the back and a ticket to heaven that allowed you to help raise a ton of money for that as well. So the nonprofit world is not for just nonprofit people. They need people who are for-profit entities to make a whole lot of money. And if you want to kind of get into these little worlds, this is a perfect place to be. So anyway, that's kind of what I am. Unless any other questions that you guys had, it was a little intro on me. If you guys ever have any questions, or you're at nonprofit events or at fundraising events, or need a little help on how to navigate some of these things, whether it's a live auction, silent auction, special event, major gifts, that kind of stuff, it's one of it is the passion that I kind of run with every single day, and it's great. Side note is, if you're trying to fundraise for an organization, I know people kind of get hung up on a lot of these things where you're not really sure whether I could do it. I don't know if I would ever be able to be a fundraiser. Yeah, you are. If you're selling a book or you're selling a service and you're doing this, it's the same thing. You're just selling an organization rather than an actual product. And it's the same system of checks lists. You know, you sit down with somebody across and you have some chit chat, and then you get right to the point saying, I'm here to ask you for a donation. You make your pitch, you make your ask, you shut up, and then you close the deal. And that's how you make a sale in business. And Rob will tell you that same thing. Manny will tell you the same thing. But it's the same thing in nonprofit fundraising as well. There's no difference between the two. You're a storyteller. You're an enthusiastic ambassador of the mission. You are somebody that is really in line with making the world a better place with whatever organization you are. And you're just trying to raise as much money and raise as much awareness as possible. So you guys are pretty rock stars. Well, hey, Manny, thanks for letting me hijack the thread for a while. Sorry we couldn't do this face-to-face. This actually might be a cool kind of thing to actually do. Just let them kind of take over for a while. It actually solves all of your technology issues, which apparently we all have as well. I hope you guys have a fantastic night. Thanks for being here in the Speakers Academy. This is really fun. I think this is one of the coolest groups that kind of help us support each other as well on your sort of journey on trying to be the best speaker that you possibly can. So that's all for now. I'm gonna go pick up my kids from daycare. Woo! Dad stuff. Bye, friends.